Hello and welcome to day 74 of an album a day, going through my vinyl collection while I'm slightly off-centered. There we go. Today is the launch of my new show, Smoke on the Podcast, going through all the songs that Deep Purple ever recorded one at a time. The show is now available. I dropped 5 episodes to get it started today. You can listen to it on my YouTube channel. You can listen to it on my website, where it's streamed. You can listen to it on pretty much any major podcast network. If you're listening to your stuff on Apple Podcasts, it's there. If you're listening on Spotify, it should be there. Should be all the good places. So if you can't find it, let me know. I'll direct you. But it's always available on my website. The new episodes stream right off the page. You can just listen to the individual players there. There's also a player on the main podcast page of my website, scotthaskin.com, where you can listen to the most recent episodes. And since there's only a handful, they're all in the player right now. However, today, in consideration of that, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about the album that started it all for Deep Purple. And I'm talking about, of course, the 1968 album, Shades of Deep Purple. This one is pretty interesting because they only had a weekend, really, to record it. And considering that, it's pretty amazing. Because of the time constraints, they didn't have a lot of time for writing, so they did a lot of covers. And that's okay, because a lot of bands were doing covers to get notoriety, get noticed back in the day. And I have an original 1968 Tetragrammaton, their original record company, which as weird and unorganized as they were, I'm grateful for them, because if not for them signing Deep Purple, who knows what would have happened. Also, thanks to Chris Curtis, who kind of got the ball rolling for Deep Purple with a band called Roundabout, which would eventually turn into Deep Purple. Love the album cover. There's 2 different versions of this. The Parlophone version is just the one picture that takes up the whole thing. Love the font. That's really cool. It's kind of a little bit medieval, which is not too surprising. On the back, it shows a cleaner version of the picture. And then I think it's just a generic sleeve, if I remember right. Let's see. Yes, just the generic white sleeve. But it's got so many great songs on it. Obviously, Hush is the big hit, but it opens with And the Address, which has a slow rolling open, but just kicks off into a killer instrumental that they actually redid on a more recent album, Whoosh. Then there's Hush, the Joe South classic that made them huge. There's a really cool video of Deep Purple playing at Hugh Hefner's Penthouse. What is it? Penthouse After Dark or Playboy After Dark. With all of them in very interesting hairstyles and dress. One More Rainy Day, Prelude, Happiness, I'm So Glad. Then we go over to side 2 with one of my favorite all-time Deep Purple songs, Mandrake Root. Just killer, off-the-rails instrumental. And when you consider it's like 1968, this was pretty wild for those days. Help, which is a Beatles cover, Love Help Me, the vocal version, there's also an instrumental version, and then Hey Joe, covering the Jimi Hendrix classic. So lots of good material on this album. The recording is a little questionable. Again, keep in mind it's 1968. They did this literally over a weekend. But there's a lot of hard panning on the album that I have a hard time with. John Lord is panned very hard to the right. Richie is panned very hard to the left. It makes some of the solo work a little bit difficult to appreciate in its entirety. But I mean, you can hear it, but maybe some of the notes are a little bit muddy just because it's just so far over there and so heavily reverbed. I would love to have a crack at the master tapes, but I have a feeling at best they're mixed down to a 4-track, maybe an 8-track, if they're even still in existence. I have no idea. There was a 2000 remaster that had some bonus tracks on it, yeah, that's about it. Great album, great start for Deep Purple, and with them hitting Hush as a hugely successful single right off the bat, set them up for at least being noticed and getting an American tour. And yeah, it just went crazy from there. So anyway, Shades of Deep Purple. Check out Smoke on the Podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.